and clients. Sandeep has spent a lifetime studying and selling celebrities, which is why most brands flock to him for advice on which celebrity would work best for their brands and how to choose between two apparently close fits. He has a doctorate in the subject and take you through some interesting perspectives on celebrities, the attributes that contribute to their fame, and what makes for emulatability amongst famous faces. Uh, as you know, this is the first in the series of webinar that we are organizing as under the auspices of the National Council of Asochem's Marketing and Branding. So without further ado, let me invite Dr. Sandeep Goyal for what I'm sure will be a very exciting session and the first of our sessions during this year. So over to you, Sandeep, and we look forward to a great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Uh, when I was putting together this seminar, I wasn't entirely sure whether I should go very, very academic or just follow the popular edict, which is to show a lot of celebrity ads, get people to laugh a little, and then move on. So I've decided today to err on the side of being more academic and more cerebral, because I believe this is a subject that finally does require some amount of academic interest and academic vigor. So while I will show you a few ads, most of them very old, uh, I will spend more time actually on the academic constructs of today's subject. So I'm going to take you through a presentation on celebrities as human brands. So let me just switch on my deck and then we will get started. You will have to allow me to use my deck. Yes, just a minute. Please allow me to share.
Yeah, please.
Please share, sir.
No, I'm not being able to share as yet.
Deepak, you have to give the right to Sandeep, sir.
Now you have to. You have the right.
Has been given.
Can you see the deck, please? Can you see my first
Yes,
slide?
sir, we can see them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
we can see it. Please carry on.
Yep. See, in true academic style, as I told you, we will follow a bit of academic, process on this. I believe it is only appropriate that when you start, just 1 minute. Okay, I think I've got the slide moving again. I'm going to start by, starting at the very beginning, which is to ask, what is a brand? So, what is a brand? A brand is the way a product, company, or individual is perceived by those who experience it or interact with it. Much more than that, it's just not a name or a logo. A brand is the recognizable feeling these perceptions evoke vis-a-vis that brand. Another possible definition is that a brand is the collection of associations that people have about a product, a person, or about a business. So when I said we are going to talk about human brands, most of these definitions also stand true for a brand that is human, that is a human being as a brand. Now, I'll add on one more layer to these set of definitions by asking, who is a celebrity? This is necessary so that we are all on the same page. When I say this is a celebrity, we must all agree that this is a celebrity. So to me, a celebrity is someone who is famous and has broad public recognition. A celebrity is a person who has a prominent profile and commands some degree of public recognition, fascination, and influence. So I've tried to simplify these definitions, but I thought they were important that they be put in perspective so that we all agree what is a brand, a human brand, and a celebrity. Now, taking off from there, my earliest brush with this celebrity dumb actually goes back to when I was perhaps 7 or 8 years old. And we were as a family in Kasauli and ran into somebody called Nargis Dutt, who was there to meet her son Sanjay, who was studying at a school at Sanar. Now, that whole interaction lasted perhaps a couple of minutes, but for the next couple of weeks, maybe for a couple of months, my mother and my aunt just could not stop discussing that brief meeting with the famous Nargis. Now, I had never seen a Nargis movie. I didn't know honestly what she looked like. And in that, brief meeting in Kasauli, I didn't find anything very unusual about her. But every time that discussion about Nargis Dutt came about, I felt some kind of a very warm glow inside my body, as if I was also associated with somebody very famous and I needed to feel very good about it. So celebrities somehow, whether you know it or not, tend to give you that warm feeling. And we're going to discuss that warm feeling as we go along this presentation. Then I was a grown-up boy. I was working at HTA Delhi, one of India's largest advertising agencies. And though I was not on the account, I was one amongst those who watched the young, very, very aggressive Kapil Dev shoot the famous ad, "Boost is the secret of my energy." I was there at 5 a.m. at Rajpath to see him run down the road. And, by the time I came back to the agency, I was brimming with happiness. Again, that glow of warmth, because I had spent the morning breathing the same air as the famous Kapil Dev. So celebrities do have some impact on you. I mean, it can differ from one person to the other, but the very fact that you have seen a celebrity or are associated with a celebrity or have been in the same space as a celebrity, somehow or the other, does impact normal human beings. Then I started working, and being in an ad agency, now getting to deal with celebrities became more a part of everyday work. I still remember in 1991, I came down from Delhi to Mumbai to meet film star Dharmendra, trying to sell him that he should feature in a ad for a ghee brand that I was handling. Now, I am going to show you a couple of ads about Dharmendra later. But at that point of time, Dharmendra was by and large not featuring in any ads. He did eventually feature in some, but fact of the matter was that he was very, very pricey. But the fact that I spent an entire evening with him, chatting and laughing and whatever, gave me an all-time high, and it finally deserved a chapter in a book that I wrote many years later. Now, this celebrity dumb and this brush with celebrity dumb kind of continued and accelerated as I now started to get to work with Aishwarya Rai and Sachin Tendulkar and Rahul Dravid, because more and more of our clients were now willing to pay to hire celebrities and feature them in their ads. Now, from that set of experiences, the only thing I really took out was that I was spending more time really dealing with a Mamiji or dealing with a Bhai Sahab of the famous star, who were now playing agent or playing intermediary or playing protector or combination of all of them. And I had the dubious job of sitting down and negotiating a deal with these close family members who in those days actually used to play the agent for the famous celebrity. So you really never really got into discussing anything with the celebrity. It was these family members who would be the front, and which really led me to ask myself a very simple question, which is going to be really the theme of today's presentation. How do you choose a celebrity? Now, 20 years ago or 25 years ago or a little more, a client would turn around and say, well, we want to use a celebrity, suggest a celebrity. Now, how we got onto that discussion of finally getting to use a celebrity is a longer discussion I don't want to get into. So, agency would go back and make a presentation. There are these possibilities, these are their pluses and minuses, and so on and so forth. And would just turn around and say, okay, we've looked at the presentation. Now, Chairman sir wants Shah Rukh. Now, you turn around and say, why Shah Rukh? Well, actually, Mrs. Chairman watches all his films. So, decision taken, no more discussion, no more debate. Research would now start for a contact to Shah Rukh. And believe you me, in those days, that in itself was a reasonably complicated process, because there would be half a dozen guys who would say, I have access to Shah Rukh. Shah Rukh listens to me. Shah Rukh is an old friend. I have known Shah Rukh for many years, but it would then take you a kind of process of trial and error before you finally got to Shah Rukh through the right person and the right contact. The beautiful thing is half the agency would land up to negotiate because everybody wanted to meet Shah Rukh. Now, it's a different matter that at most such negotiations, a Shah Rukh or equivalent would not really turn up. But the agency would be there in full strength to negotiate. And then only when shoot were to start, client's entire family and perhaps his whole set of friends and his entire neighborhood would land up to witness the shoot. End result, of course, would be that Shah Rukh, quote unquote, would now become family friend of client family for life. So that was really the larger perspective of how a celebrity was hired and brought into the life of a brand. So to take this discussion forward, but I thought what I would do is that I would also tell you that in my innings in Z, the selection process and the star story and the fact that stars kind of our TRPs and that Amitabh is in KBC, therefore we must have him everywhere, was a discussion that we would have almost every day. And I would ask myself, but why do we need this star? There were answers, some good, some bad, but it didn't really make a difference. Fact remains that stars were very, very essential to the new narrative that was coming about. So over the years, despite dealing with many celebrities and many brands, I have really not figured out how this entire business actually operates. Over the years, I at least saw that there was no data. There was no understanding of why one celebrity was different from another, or why one celebrity needed to be paid a premium. And if he were to be paid a premium, how much should that premium really be? To me, it seemed more like a whimsical business. And I honestly have been both astonished and amused by how much clients are influenced by star power. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a bit of a rewind just to set the perspective, because I started my narrative from about 30 years ago and said, we shot with Kapil or we started looking for Shah Rukh. But the story around stars actually goes back to a much, much earlier era. Everybody here would be familiar with the fact that Lux by far has been the most star-smitten brand of modern times. It has been the beauty soap of the film stars. In India, filmi sitaro ka saundarya sabun. And everybody from Leela Chitnis to Sharmila Tagore to Hema Malini to Parveen Babi, Sri Devi, Madhuri Dixit, Rani Mukherjee, Aishwarya Rai, Amisha Patel, Kareena Kapoor, Asin, Deepika Padukone, Alia Bhatt, all have endorsed Lux. Even Shah Rukh has endorsed Lux. He's the only male, by the way, to have endorsed Lux as a actor. So Lux was, as it is, using a lot of celebrities, and their history of using filmy sitare goes back maybe 100 years now. Now, when the female stars were being used, for some odd reason, the male film stars were very, very wary of brand endorsements. So at their peak, and I'm going to use the word at their peak, none of Devanand or Raj Kapoor or Dilip Kumar ever endorsed any brand in their heyday. It was somehow considered below their dignity or prestige to be peddling commercial products. Now, I had made a mention of Dharmender before. I'm going to repeat it because I've heard this from a horse's mouth, which said that, who said that, Dharmender was offered a sum more than he charged for a movie for an endorsement in the late 60s, but he refused. And I will show you later the kind of ads that Dharmender finally came in. Rajesh Khanna, again, I mean, really didn't feature in ads. There is the famous ad that he did just before he, passed on. But the first time that Rajesh Khanna appeared in an ad was for Fagina shootings, and I'm going to show you that ad a little while later. Amitabh Bachchan made his first commercial appearance for Bombay Dyeing. Some may remember a star of the 70s called Deepak Parachar, and he used to be the main endorsee for Vimal. Suresh Oberoi was featured in Morarji Mills. Jackie Shroff came in for Vinny, and Sunil Gavaskar, many would remember, was the Dinesh man. Now, since Sunny Gavaskar had started appearing as a cricketer in ads, Ravi Shastri and Sandeep Patil also followed suit by featuring an ad for Thumbs Up. I'm sure most of you, at least my generation, would remember the swashbuckling, Farooq engineer, the wicketkeeper of the Indian team who was the face of Bill Cream. Many would also remember that Pakistan's current Prime Minister Imran Khan was featured by Synthol soap. Now, my favorite poor, Eknath Solkar, that wonderful fielder, however, got to only endorse an unknown bicycle called Philips. So, fortunes started changing for cricketers too, especially with the rise of Kapil Dev, who, as you would all remember, became famous. Well, some people laughed, but he did become famous for Palmolive, the Jawab Nahi, and Boost is the secret of my energy. And Kapil, in many ways, finally, between Sunil Gavaskar and Kapil, they opened up the way forward for cricketers and their use in endorsements. Those days, these were not negative categories. So cigarettes and whiskey were key celebrity seekers. Jackie Shroff endorsed Charminar. I'll show you that ad. Raj Babbar and Akshay Kumar appeared for Red and White. I couldn't find the Raj Babbar ad, but I will show you the Akshay ad. Shatrughan Sinha and Jackie Shroff both appeared for Bagpiper. Jackie Shroff, in fact, was a very, very busy endorser. I will show you many of his ads, including those for Savage Aftershave, for Cadbury's drinking chocolate, for Avis jeans, and many more. So he was really the charmer of that generation. I have a very famous, rarely seen ad for Zeenat Aman, who featured for Air India. Rekha was there for Lakme Cosmetics. Rati Agnihotri and Tina Muneen were used by Thrill, a soft drink in those days, and Swaroop Sampath was a brand ambassador for Shringar Bindi. So you can see the wide variety. And by the way, Prem Chopra, yes, Prem Chopra, villain Prem Chopra was the face of Vaseline, and Gabbar Singh sold Britannia's glucose biscuits. Let's just quickly run through some of these ads. So there is Rajesh Khanna on the left and Mr. Bachchan on the right, Fabina shootings and Bombay Dyeing. Hema Malini and Zeenat Aman, both for Lux. And again, Mala Sinha, and yes, You can see Helen on the right, both for Lux. So Lux at least did not make any difference between heroines and vamps, but fact of the matter is all beautiful women were all in the Lux ads. I don't know if you can guess who this guy is. This is none else but Salman Khan in Hero Honda and Graviera suitings. On one side, Synthol had Imran Khan. On the other, it had the very debonair, very handsome Vinod Khanna. On the right is that ad which I was mentioning, the Air India ad featuring Zeenat Aman. Air India has something money can't buy. And here are these ads. On the left is Prem Chopra, who perhaps in those days was starring in Wo Kaun Thi, and on the right is Gabbar Singh, Amjad Khan for glucose kits. Yes. On the left is my favorite ad with Dharmendra, who would not agree to do ads when at his peak, but later he was endorsing Chetak Chap Sabun and Shakti detergent Tikia with his dream girl. On the right side, again, I mean, it's one of those ironies that at his peak, Dilip Kumar would not endorse a brand, but later on, he is seen here endorsing chili pickle for Mother India products, whoever they were. And this is really, again, a flashback to, on the left side, Amir Khan with Hero Cook. Now, how in an 80cc, two-wheeler he found power is beyond my comprehension. But on the right side, there is a very, very young Sachin Tendulkar selling a red-hot teen machine for Bajaj. And now, cigarette guys that I mentioned on the left again is as you can see, we have two of the famous, again, superstars of the past, Jackie Shroff, and we have Akshay Kumar, a very, very young looking Akshay Shroff, Akshay Kumar saying, "Hum red and white पीने वालों की बात ही कुछ और है." And as I told you, Jackie Shroff was very, very popular in those days. So there he is in Binny and he's in Avis. And then you can see him in Cadbury's drinking chocolate and you can see him in Bagpiper. So fairly diverse set of portfolios. My intent here was really to run you through how advertising used to look like and feel like, and our famous superstars featured as endorsees through the gamut of, I think, the 80s and 90s largely. From here, now we get into what I said would be the academic part of the entire business. So, what I'm going to now show you is I'm going to reverse the traditional exercise of what is called anthropomorphism. Now, what is anthropomorphism? You see, when I went to management school, one of the big things that we were taught was here is a brand, and let us now imagine what will this brand look like if it were human. So we would go into these imaginary exercises of saying this brand would be a gentleman who's 35, very aristocratic, living in South Mumbai, working at the Taj, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. So you would try and humanize a brand to understand that if you met that brand on the street and were to shake hands with the brand, what exactly would that brand look or feel like if it were a human being? Now, here from in this presentation, I am going to do the reverse, which is that I'm going to take the human being, the superstar, and convert him back into being just a brand. And for a moment, at least, I am going to freeze any possibility of the human being actually human and say this is just a brand. It doesn't matter that it is a human being. We actually got into that kind of exercise very many years ago when we started to therefore look at the evaluation of celebrities. I told you that in my earlier innings in advertising and even at Z when I was running Z, I could never figure out why am I paying this guy what I'm paying this guy. Do I know enough about this superstar? Do I know anything about this celebrity or don't I? What I'm going to show you are actually slides from a deck that I made maybe 16, 17 years ago. I actually extracted the slides from that deck. And the question we asked ourselves, what if you could foretell the stars? And what did we tell with the foretells? This is a study called the Celesta study, which we commissioned at Dentsu in 2004, 2006, 2008, and 2010. What did it tell us way back then? First ever psychometric analysis of what makes celebrities. At B is Big B. He's top of the pops on all factors except on like, where Rahul Dravid scores. Now, this is a set of slides from 2006. When I will bring you back into 2020, you will see that some images have changed, but many haven't. And when we looked at Sachin Tendulkar way back then, this is how on the left side his brand had grown on responsible, handsome, stylish, skilled, and sexy, but had gone down on being charismatic, manly, proud, self-made, and aggressive. We also figured even back then that Amir Khan and Rahul Dravid share the same index on trust and fans. Dravid scores higher on familiarity and like, but Amir scores better on respect. Dhoni. Now, we're talking of Dhoni in 2006. This is before he won the World Cup. He had perhaps not even become captain at that time. Dhoni, at that time itself, stood second only to Amitabh Bachchan in terms of respect, higher than Sachin and Aishwarya Rai. Interestingly, and this is a slide I presented to my friend Pranav Roy many years ago, and I will not tell you what his reaction was. But Rajdeep Sardesai had just left NDTV, and we were doing this research, and I found this little, this little piece over here, very interesting on trust. So I told Dr. Roy that your protein is headed for some fairly interesting stuff, because even now he is outscoring you on trust. Of course, Roy had his own point of view, but we've seen that in the last many years, my little analysis and understanding here was not really a miss. Rajdeep Sardesai did make his mark as a noted journalist. So, having done some of this work, I figured that I knew some of what I was saying, but perhaps I needed to know more. So, in 2011, I sold my stake in Dentsu. I had enough time on my hands. I actually wrote the CAT exam, went back to my alma mater called FMS Delhi, and I registered for a doctorate. So I sat in class for a year, and then I spent the next 4 years putting together some of the stuff that I am going to actually show you, which are extracts from my own PhD thesis. What I wanted to do really was to create an academic construct to this PhD. I wanted to cover a large enough list of celebrities. I wanted to have sufficient data points. I wanted to have the ability to compare across attributes. I wanted to have a large enough sample in terms of respondents to make it meaningful in terms of being research that was valid and could be relied upon. I also wanted to have a reasonably long trend line to be able to make comparisons. And last but not the least, I wanted to create an algorithm to enable decision making should somebody just wanted to use the constructs that I had worked on for these many years and independently sit down and figure out how to choose a celebrity. So what did I do? First and foremost, I won't go into how I put them together. Put together a list of image attributes on which I would go out and check out the celebrities I was researching. From trustworthy to friendly to dynamic to unapproachable to distinct to high quality to authentic to innovative to value, yes, for customers, original, arrogant, fun, reliable, prestigious, unique, different, stylish, straightforward, up to date, traditional, helpful, progressive, and best brand. That is 12 plus 12, 24 image attributes that I said we would check out every single celebrity that we would cover. So, what did I do? First and foremost, I want to go into how I put them together. Put together a list of image attributes on which I would go out and check out the celebrities I was researching. From trustworthy to friendly to dynamic to unapproachable to distinct to high quality to authentic to innovative to value, yes, for customers, original, arrogant, fun, reliable, prestigious, unique, different, stylish, straightforward, up to date, traditional, helpful, progressive, and best brand. That is 12 plus 12, 24 image attributes that I said we would check out every single So next, I added on to that a second layer, which was of personality attributes. Now, what were these personality attributes? Down to earth, daring, intelligent, upper class, outdoorsy, restrained, simple, trendy, glamorous, calm, healthy, honest, charming, kind, energetic, leader, rugged, carefree, strong, obliging, gaining in popularity. That means going up as far as people are concerned. They love him more. High performance, and last but not the least, worthy of my love. Yeah. So these were the number of 24 plus 24 personality and image attributes that I said we will get started with. We're now dealing with a human brand, not just a brand. The first 48 were more than adequate to look at how to analyze a brand. But I also now needed to add on human factors. What were those human factors? Appearance. So tall, dark, handsome, fair, beautiful. These are human factors which ordinary brands don't have. Voice, like in the case of Mr. Bachchan, also in the case of Sachin Tendulkar. So baritone and memorable or different. Personality brands then, macho, sexy, heartthrob, unlikable, courteous, helpful, friendly, caring. So these obviously are dimensions that human brands have, which ordinary, non-living brands don't have. And last but not the least, the person seemed to be successful, famous, rich, pedigreed, and is he really loved by all? So I combined all of these into a full-fledged matrix of 64 attributes and then started to get pictures. How did they feature on image factors? So if you see left top corner, high average image factors, but low on differentiation. That is what Virat was when I started the research. But together, Virat and Anushka were doing well. High average image and high, differentiation, right top corner. So that is the spread when it came to image factors. When it came to personality factors, spread became more spread out. And right here on the top, if you see, is my friend and partner, Chef Sanjeev Kapoor. So high personality factors, high differentiation. When I went into human factors, I got some very nice imagery for Aishwarya, even Kangana Ranaut, Priyanka here. This is where Arnab was all about. Mr. Bachchan had kind of got stuck in the middle, though he topped on many rankings. We won't go into how we reached all of these figures, but even 5-6 years ago, I could see that, Shah Rukh Khan was in trouble. The one big brand which has moved very significantly from low differentiation to high differentiation is Virat Kohli over here. Again, significant movement in about 10 years for Akshay Kumar. So interesting pictures there. I mean, when we have time and individually, if you want to ever meet up and come by and have a cup of coffee with me, I'll show you a whole lot of very interesting pictures that go behind these charts. Then, I mean, directionally, some very, very interesting pictures on, consistency of performance and, seeing or reading about them makes me happy. So now if you see, when we get together a different set of, factors, Virat moves from this quadrant here to this quadrant here. And he has been moving. He finally moved here very quickly. These were just to tell you what we were doing. And then I developed what I very proudly call the Janam Patris of all of these celebrities. So one look at this Janam Patri and I could tell you where is this particular celebrity moving now. Because if I look at the image factors, the personality factors, and the human factors, and I put them together, they tell me very clearly inka Rahu Ketu kidhar ja raha hai. This is some of the data that I put together at that time and which we further fine-tuned in later years. We were able to predict the rise of Ayushmann Khurrana. I could from 2011-12 see the upper, headed trajectory of Virat Kohli. I could see the consistency of the trajectory of Dhoni. Despite some fairly interesting pictures that I had on Saif and Karina, somehow or the other, their pillar patterns, their graphs, individually or together, never gave me the feeling that they were going to be number one in the space that they were together or individually. I looked at, there is Sanjeev Kapoor and there is uh, Rohit Sharma. Rohit Sharma also, again, by his sheer, graphs that I was getting off him, always seemed to be a little in the shadow. So Virat overtook him and then overtook him substantially. Dhoni was always ahead of him, remained ahead of him, and stays ahead of him. I saw, by the way, during that time also the fall in the graph for Sachin Tendulkar. So we got some very interesting pictures around it. So I could go into a lot more detail, but I won't, because there's some interesting stuff for those who are statistically minded and are waiting to figure out where is that, decision making, stuff that I was talking about. Well, here is the broad decision making, framework that I created, which marries awareness of the celebrity, his or her appeal scores, the likability, and the brand attributes, and brings them together. What did we really do? I really put together the appeal scores, which is your respect, trust, and the attributes, the budget available. Now, that's a very important fundamental question when you are, looking at a client wanting to take a celebrity. The celebrity may have a lot of awareness, the appeal scores may be very high, but then he may be far above my budget. How do I factor in the budget? How do I bring in the understanding of likability? And then how do I look at a brand match? We then turned it around, and I looked at, how do I turn this around? Because maybe the starting point should be that we do a brand match and see, does this guy broadly figure with the kind of, brand attributes that we are talking about. Let us first get the budget out of the way, because the client wants to spend only 5 crores. The celebrity is asking for 10 crores, or he has 1 crore. The seller, the budget of the client is less than half. How do we match that? So we changed some of the orders, factored in then this whole thing about awareness, which is the visibility score, the top of mind score, the spontaneous score, and all of that information that we had. Added to that the appeal score, which is the combination of respect, trust, attractiveness, and identity. And I factored in all of the regression analysis, which is actually very fascinating. If you come to my office and I take you through some of that work, it is really, really nice stuff that I did as part of that whole PhD thesis. And finally, we added on that little, thing on the top, which was about likability. How well liked is this celebrity? Is there any discernible positive movement on the likability scores of this particular celebrity, which is where that Ayushman story comes in? Or how he or she compares on likability versus the closest choice set that you have? Because I finally figured out that likability is that little pivot that makes the difference between getting the right celebrity or getting the absolutely right fit as a celebrity. I mean, there are stories I could narrate, but this perhaps doesn't allow enough time. But that's the broad framework with which I worked for, almost 4 to 5 years, putting together what some of you may really like, which is my algorithm for for celebrity selection for brands. I mean, it is very little time for me to explain all these sigmas and the weightages and so on and so forth. But those of you are empirically oriented, I can tell you this works like magic. So this is the final brand score, which you see at the bottom of the page, is the calculation basis which I can get you to a fairly close pick on celebrity 1 versus 2, and I can tell you over time, 9 chances out of 10, the celebrity we pick will be a far better choice than if you had done it without any logic going into it. That's largely it. Now, having done this PhD and having got myself to be now called Dr. Sandeep Goyal, I thought about it and I formed what I think is a fabulous think tank called the Indian Institute of Human Brands. And what we've done now in the last 3 years is put together some absolutely fabulous work on celebrities. Since there is very little time, I'm only going to kind of run you through some really nice work which we've done. And the first of what I'm going to show you is what we call the Tiara research. The Tiara research is an inside-based research across celebrities done at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, just before the pandemic came in. And what it does is gives you best fits, appropriate or best fit selection, competitive choice, which is to choose better between best fits, perception, that is choose basis brand attributes. So you say we are outdoorsy, we are very trustworthy, we are very healthy, we are very, very whatever. So you give me those attributes and I will use those attributes to figure out what is your best brand fit given the amount of data and information that we have. And last but not the least, trendy, which is looking at emerging choices for the future. I wrote an article in 2019 for, I forget whether it was brand equity or for campaign, but they asked me to choose who would be the most impactful, visible cricketer over that year. And I looked at Jasprit Bumrah, I looked at Umesh Yadav, I looked at Hardik Pandya, I looked at whatever. And I wrote an article which was headlined Fantastic. After looking at all the pillar patterns and looking at all the graphs, I had figured out that this young guy, who that time was neither a very good, wicket keeper, nor was he really scoring the kind of runs that he's scoring now. And there were guys like Prithvi Shaw who were doing far better. But after looking at all these youngsters, these young cricketers, I chose Pant out of the lot. And over the last 3 years, you would have seen the best career trajectory for cricketers amongst brands has now been for Rishabh Pant. So we can look at emerging choices for the future. I told you we looked at Ayushmann Khurrana, predicted his success from 2015-16, and his rise after that has been completely meteoric. Completely meteoric. The Tiara actually stands for trust, identify with, attractive to, respected by, and appeal to. What we covered as that in that whole study was Bollywood stars, 69 of them, 67 celebrities from television, 37 from sports, and we covered 7 celebrities who were power couples. What I'm going to show you, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this, I'm going to spend maybe 30 seconds on each one of these slides and show you where did all of these celebrities stack up. Who was India's most respected celebrity? Amitabh Bachchan by far. India's #1 heartthrob. None else but Ranbir Kapoor. But you can see here that, we got scores for Bollywood, for television, for sports, and for couples separately. So I'm not going to go through you. By the way, this is available on the net, so you really don't have to, go and look at the fine print in more detail. India's most controversial, Hardik Pandya by far. India's most seductive, Radhika Apte. India's most stylish, and Virat Kohli. India's most appealing, Akshay Kumar. India's most attractive, Alia Bhatt. India's most glamorous, Deepika Padukone. I mean, I wish I had time and I could take you through the constructs of each of these and how did they score well in Bollywood and how did somebody else score well in sports, and whether a 65.9 score for Virat Kohli is actually measurable in terms of the same weightage when you are comparing it with Bollywood or with television. So there are very many very interesting permutations and combinations. Well, Amitabh Bachchan is seen to be India's most rich. I don't know whether it is true or false, or whether Salman Khan or Shah Rukh Khan have more money than he has, but that doesn't really matter. The general perception is that Mr. Bachchan is the richest amongst all celebrities in India. And without doubt, Miss Padukone is the most beautiful as far as India is concerned. Uh, Sachin Tendulkar, for some reason, has retained that whole feeling about having or providing the most good value. Shubman Gill, who was still kind of coming up and is still coming up, at least from his scores at the World Test cricket, he's still very much still work in progress. So India's most carefree, India's most identified. And this is what I was talking about when we were talking about Ayushman Khurrana. Uh, One of the basic reasons that his entire graph shows that there's a huge amount of emulatability when it comes to Ayushman Khurrana. I mean, uh, I can't really go into explaining to you what this whole concept of emulatability is in a very short time. But the fact that I feel, I feel that, अरे बाबा, I could be almost like him, यार. अगर ये कर सकता है, ये तो मैं भी कर सकता हूँ. Now the problem is that in my generation, the closest examples would have been an Amol Palekar or a Farooq Sheikh. Now I don't know if the younger generation really understand these examples that I'm making. But the fact of the matter was that a Farooq Sheikh or an Amol Palekar in most of the roles that they played never played winners. They were the bechara. They were the underdog. Now, Ayushman Khurrana, in most of his portrayals, is different. He's not necessarily the underdog who, kind of wins in the end. He's just different. And that different choice actually works well for him. So there is that subtle difference between being an underdog and being different or hatke. So his portrayals as Vicky Donor or his portrayals in the other movies that he has played make him stand apart from the rest of the crowd. And that intrinsically adds to his charm. It adds to his, ability where I feel that he's not touch me not, but he's somebody I can possibly reach out to, and therefore enhances this entire business of being highly identified with. India's most progressive, Vikrant Massey. I don't know how many of you actually seen him on screen. Uh, Ajay Devgan has, whether deserved or not so well deserved, image of being tough, even tougher than Akshay Kumar. India's most fearless captain Virat Kohli. India's most distinctive, and this is a nice one, Nawazuddin Siddiqui. I wanted to, but I then figured I didn't have enough time to do it. But we've also in the last 2 or 3 years encouraged a lot of clients to actually check out celebrities who were not really obvious choices. So whether it is Gajraj, whatever, Gajraj Rao, or whether it has been Neena Gupta, or it's been Nawazuddin Siddiqui, or it's been Rajkumar Rao, we've actually worked with clients to see if their creative agencies could come up with ideas so that these slightly hatke or not as well known celebrities could actually become unique properties of the brands that they endorsed, rather than take on a Virat Kohli who already has 36 endorsements. In any case, India's most prestigious, again, Mr. Bachchan. India's most versatile, to being Nawazuddin Siddiqui. India's most honest. Now, this is interesting. India's most honest, Mr. Bachchan again. Uh, India's most trusted, Mr. Bachchan. Now you understand, 78-year-old Mr. Bachchan finds his way into more ads than guys who are 40 years his juniors or maybe 50 years his juniors in age. India's richest, India's most trustworthy, India's most trusted, India's most honest. So Mr. Bachchan is by far perhaps the most complete celebrity brand that we have in this country. India's most humorous, and one of the reasons he's doing so phenomenally well on OTT and doing now increasingly well in the advertising circuit, Pankaj Tripathi, his phenomenal sense of timing. India's most trendy, again, Virat Kohli. India's most intelligent old man, Mr. Bachchan, doing well again. There are many more of these. We are going to not use all of them, but again, India's most innovative Dhoni, India's most friendly Dhoni, which is why you will see that the magic of the Dhoni brand continues to work despite the fact that he is retired, and the fall from being used and not used for people like Virender Sehwag or Yuvraj Singh or even Sachin Tendulkar has been very steep. In the case of Dhoni, it has actually gone up. Now that is a webinar in itself, but I will show you another report where we've covered him in fair amount of detail. And then we'll go on to India's most cool, which is Ranveer Singh. India's most reliable, for some reason, is Saina Nehwal. India's most funny, Varun Dhawan. I mean, I would have expected that maybe, Kapil Sharma would have made it there, but he didn't. But people still think that Varun Dhawan is the funniest. India's most strong, by the way, again, is Mr. Akshay Kumar. India's most rugged is Shark. And Virat Kohli comes back with most handsome, there is most sexy, there is most authentic, there is most charming, there is India's most macho, there is much more. I don't want to cover any more of them. I'm now going to show you another very interesting study that we have done, which is on power couples. So we took these sparklers, the combinations of, Virushka or the combinations of Saifina, and now the combination of, Ranveer and Alia, if that actually comes about, and so on and so forth. And we did a very interesting study on power couples. I won't again go into too much of detail, but we analyzed the kind of, graphs, and you can see that maybe there is not much to be differentiated between them. But when you start looking at the top view of, some of these on factors like trustworthy or respected or dynamic or fun or distinctive or high quality, there are some differences that do emerge and therefore can help you make better qualitative decisions. Then we went into a very interesting, story about India's most romantic couples over decades. So we covered Ranveer and Deepika, we covered Shahid Kapoor and Kareena, Shah Rukh Khan and Kajol, and so on and so forth. So we got some very interesting patterns again from the decade of the 2010s, the decade of the 2000s, the 1990s, the 1980s, and back to the 70s and 60s, and finally to the 50s. Now, this report may not have had too much of value for current brands, except of course the ones which we were doing on, the couples that are still, very much around. But for nostalgic reasons, I had a lot of people calling me up and said, "Can I please have a copy of the report?" So we also covered the top 3 romantic couples over time. I'm just showing you this for no other reason except to show you that a lot much more work can be done around that. Then when Dhoni retired, we did a very special report on him. And my one take on him was that this is a brand who is not only going to be around in 2025, he's going to be around in perhaps 2030 with almost the same set of values being alive for him. Dhoni's biggest strengths: how is he better than competition? Where does Dhoni lag? And where are the opportunities really for brand Dhoni? So, I mean, this is too small for you to see it, but all the areas which are, orange are really his biggest opportunity areas, right? So the combination of honest and trustworthy, the combination of a leader and loved by all, and the fact that he's down to earth and honest are really the 3 biggest set of strength combinations that he has. Now, for Dhoni, the brand to continue to prosper, the endorsements that he does have to either appear to be honest and trustworthy, or he has to be that leader that everybody looks up to and continues to be loved by all, or he has to continue to be seen to be down to earth and honest. Now, as long as he remains within the domain of 3 combinations, brand Dhoni will largely remain unbeatable for at least another decade. Now, similarly, we've done some really, really nice work in the past on TikTokers. Now, I won't again go into too much of detail, but I'm just running you through to show you that again, imagery and perception, entertaining, responsive, and engaging, trendy, and heartthrob were perhaps more important factors in the TikTok business than they were when we were analyzing Bollywood or analyzing cricket. So we developed there an influencer index called the I2 score, which was a combination of familiarity, likability, trust, content quality, and fun to follow. And much of the research that we got there was really, really interesting. Their top imagery attributes, and how do you really deconstruct the understanding of those imagery attributes between male influencers and female influencers. Uh, how do you look at imagery association based on audience segments? How do you work out a I2 or an influencer index score based on all of the factors of familiarity and likability and trust and so on and so forth? So a lot of very interesting work can be done in the area of celebrities and influencers as we go forward in the days to come. I'm again not going to go into detail on this, but we published a very, very, very well liked report on OTT queens. So we covered, I think, about 40 or 42 of the best ladies on OTT. And later this week, we are releasing the OTT Badshahs report, which covers all the guys who are making so much of news and impact in the OTT segment. So there's lots of very interesting work which is possible. I run studies every time there is a big cricketing event, and then we do a recall of brands associated with celebrities, brands not associated with celebrities, and whether the addition of the celebrity has actually added both value as well as recall, or added value and recognition to all the new brands that are coming into advertising on the IPL. So there are very many interesting combinations that we are really working on today. I'm going to start winding down. I know I've run out of, or I'm nearly on my time now. I'm going to show you what I believe is my favorite celebrity ad, and you're going to ask me, why is it my favorite celebrity ad? This is an ad I created way back in 2005, 2006. The client is Toyota. Toyota at that time had only one vehicle in India called the Qualis, and they, for reasons best known to them, withdrew the Qualis and introduced a new vehicle called the Innova. I had just set up Dentsu in India, and we were just given the creatives. They came from Japan and they said, here are the creatives, run them. I looked at the creatives and I told the client, boss, ye to nahi chalenge. He said, why? So I said, boss, the entire future of this company is going to be the Qualis on and Innova in. And you are going to depend only on this set of Japanese commercials. Ye to nahi chalenge. He said, why? I said, one, the car looks so huge, most Indians won't buy it. And I don't understand these creatives. But you see, client and Japan creatives ran the creatives. People who were around 15, 16 years ago and actually involved with some of this would remember that first 3 months, the Innova just did not sell. There were no customers at Toyota showrooms. Nobody came. They looked at that advertising and they said, ये तो बहुत बड़ी कार है, ये कहाँ पार्क होएगी, ये हमारी तो गैरेज में नहीं फिट आएगी, हमारी तो स्ट्रीट में नहीं चढ़ेगी ये, और हमने इतनी बड़ी गाड़ी क्या करनी है. The whole story in those communication was all about a big car, a big family car. Well, in any case, I won't go into the rest of it. We were asked to do a new campaign. We presented a campaign. Toyota said we don't use celebrities. I flew down 3 times to Japan to convince the Japanese client that what we were doing was correct. He eventually agreed because the market was on fire. I mean, the dealers were willing to kill Toyota. And we created the ad that I'm going to show you. What I did really was that I, of course, used the endorsee that I'm going to show you, which is Aamir Khan. But more importantly, I used Munna, which is Aamir Khan in Rangila. I used Akash from Dil Chahta Hai, that is the Aamir Khan role in that movie. I used Siddharth Marathe from Gulam. I used Bhuvan from Lagan. And last but not the least, I also used ACP Ajay Singh Rathod from Sarfarosh. All of them in the same vehicle, in the same ad. I think I will have to tell Deepak to play that commercial, please. Deepak, the commercial. Thank you, Deepak. Thank you. Just put me back on screen. And I need to get my. But I wanted to show you this commercial, and I want to get the share back, please. Yeah, sorry. Well, the reason I showed you this commercial was, I feel that most times when brands use a celebrity, they pay the celebrity, but their ad agency really doesn't know how to use the celebrity. And that is where I think this ad should be a good reference when you are, briefing your ad agency. A lot of the car in the commercial, there is one hell of a lot of Amir Khan in the commercial. More importantly, I've used all of Amir Khan's equity as a brand in my commercial for Toyota. I have used him to show fits and finishes, the seat that folds, the little air conditioner duct, the other small things in the car that I want shown, including the huge amount of space. So it's not just about using the celebrity, but using the celebrity in the context of what you really want to convey and using the celebrity for the maximum value that you can for the immense amount of money that you have paid for that celebrity. So it's been a long session. I'm going to wind it down now with just two more slides. One, just that it is not just the celebrity fee or all the media money that then rides on the campaign that's been created, but it is also the huge amount of sales that are not dependent on that campaign to succeed for the product to move. So the choice of the celebrity is not just the choice of the celebrity and an ad, but the entire movement of the entire sales mechanism is actually dependent on the choice of that celebrity. Making the right call on the celebrity, if you are using one for your brand, is becoming more and more critical today. Now, if you just depend on some small analysis done by some strategy planner in the agency who's picked up a few things from the net, I don't think you will get far. I mean, You want to really understand what this celebrity stands for. How is he actually viewed on different attributes? Which are those attributes which can be leveraged, used, and therefore be maximized for your brand? You need expert help today. I mean, you don't have to come to us, but I'm just telling you that this is the kind of stuff that is doable today. My biggest problem today is that with multiple endorsements by the same celebrity, if you are the 37th brand that he is endorsing, my only advice to you is, boss, he may be Virat Kohli, he may be Mr. Bachchan, he may be Akshay Kumar, or maybe Ranveer Singh. You're actually better off without being the 37th brand. If you got to use any of these celebrities, try and use them before they become overexposed or they become commoditized. Which is where being armed with appropriate research feedback and a better understanding of brand attributes can be a big advantage. There are many second level celebrities who are as well known, but may actually work better for your brand. So we ought to choose to be cluttered by being one more of Virat Kohli's brand versus being the only brand that, say, Vicky Kaushal endorses. I am telling you, the Vicky Kaushal choice, even without getting into the attributes, is a better choice. But then you require an ad agency that knows how to use Vicky Kaushal to the best advantage of your brand. More and more data and more experience in handling data, we are getting better at making better choices. So predicting future winners is something that we are getting unerringly good at. I mean, in the last year, during the pandemic itself, we made, I think, 5 or 6 major predictions in terms of saying, take this guy out and put this guy in, this is going to work better for you. And brand sales just went to a completely different level. So using some of that intelligently is really going to work well. So which is where the last question I'm asking, where to hear from? Well, there are many more dimensions to the celebrity as a human brand. We already have made considerable progress in research, and I'm sure, there is going to be lots more that can be done in this space. The biggest new frontier we've opened up in the last year and a half is actually helping content creators, OTT brands, television channels to choose the right celebrity for the right roles in content. So it's not just about advertising, it is not about advertising and content and which guy will work best in what role. It's no longer the fact that this is your, guy who casts people in different roles. Today, research has a very big role to play in that space. Interestingly, because I have been asked this question, have you done any work for politicians? Yes, we have. We've done some work for some very well-known politicians, but somehow or the other, I feel uncomfortable dealing with some of them. So we've kind of slowed down in that space, and I'm not necessarily very enthusiastic, though I can tell you we can do some absolutely kick-ass work for politicians, given the kind of constructs that we have already developed. Interesting area of work that I'm very proud of, and we will be publishing a report very soon on the personalities of different corporate CEOs. Now, this is a space where I believe there is a lot of potential because the CEO of today actually embodies the corporate brand. So look forward to this report. Do read it when it comes out. Also, I've seen when you look at small niches, I wanted to do a report on chefs. I have a substantial shareholding in Food TV, so I've been involved in that space for a long time. Now, the interesting part here is when we set out to do this research on chefs, and we'd had that earlier problem when we were doing the Tiara research and included a lot of kabaddi players. The problem was that there wasn't enough recognition of kabaddi players' names. So if you could find otherwise somebody knew Amitabh Bachchan was 100%, and if we were looking for a Jasprit Bumrah and 1 and 2 people knew who Jasprit Bumrah was, when we were looking for a kabaddi player, we would find 1 in 80 perhaps before we could hit someone who could give us enough feedback on a kabaddi player. Now, the same problem I've had with chefs. We are coming out with that report hopefully early next month, but it's been a very difficult report to put together. But the interesting part is it answers a very critical question many clients have often asked me: is it better to use a chef or a cricketer or an actor when it comes to food as a category? You'll find some answers there. This really is a domain which is work in progress. There is much to do. Thankfully, it is fun to do. I enjoy it every single day when I do it. It's a different domain altogether. And every day there is some of the other news about a celebrity, somebody got caught in drugs, something else has happened, and so on and so forth. And that creates a constant kind of flux in this category. So interesting stuff, interesting questions, interesting answers coming through. And I am not going to spend any more time, but end this by just saying thank you. Let's go back to screen.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sandeep sir, for this very informative presentation. Thomas sir, would you like to have your comments before we wrap up this session? Okay. So that brings us to this end of this very informative session. It was the first program of our branding and marketing council, and we hope to receive feedback from the participants over the
Avinash, is there time for questions to be asked?
sparing your time.
Or is there any time for questions to be answered? Because there are people asking questions.
Okay, yeah. So you can write the your question in the question answer box.
Yeah, Prateek, you had a question. Why don't you put it in the question box and I will try and answer it. Yeah, the Amir Khan ad for Toyota. What is your question?
What I will do is I'll just unmute him and you can ask the question directly. Just say.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can ask the question.
Thanks. That was good to unmute. So hi Sandeep, Prateek here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Prateek, I can.
Yeah. So Sandeep, this the topic that you have about managing celebrities is something very close to me as well. In fact, you would of course be aware about in Vishwanathan Anand's long association with NIIT.
Yeah.
And I've been driving this engagement now for the past 15 years in the company with NIIT. So therefore, when I saw this Amir Khan association with Toyota, and you talked about it that you had to specially get an okay all the way up till Toyota. So what is it? What was the logic that you had to use to convince them that a brand ambassador is going to make a difference? Because if I recall correctly, they haven't had since then. They haven't again repeated a ambassador that effectively as they did with Amir Khan.
Okay, I'll give you an answer at two levels. First and foremost, it is much easier to sell any logic to a client who is at trouble at that point of time. And as I did tell you, the Qualis had been withdrawn. The Toyota Innova had been introduced. The Toyota Innova was just not moving. The earlier advertising was not working. So one thing at least the client knew was that he was in trouble. So when a client is in trouble, it is much easier for him to listen to logic. So that is one part of the discussion. Two, we were quite clear that in the scenario that the brand was in at that point of time. I mean, Toyota today is far better than it is, but Toyota, unfortunately, India is the only market perhaps in the world where Toyota is number 7 or number 8. In most other markets, they're used to being number 1. I mean, India is the only market where Maruti Suzuki or Suzuki is number 1. Suzuki in Japan is number 7 or number 8. So, from being in a horribly bad position, we had to convince them that needed something dramatic, and that dramatic wouldn't come from showing what the Japanese, I don't know if you ever dealt with the Japanese have what they call the golden angles of the car. that means the car looks very nice from this angle, or when the wheels move coming in from this angle, the car looks beautiful, which basically means that the hero of the ad is the car. It's no one else. So when you are kind of anchored in that belief that my car is the hero and nothing else is important, then moving you to saying that a hero who is actually a hero is going to be more important than that ad is a very difficult logic to sell, whether it is Indian or to Japanese. Now, in this case, because they were in deep trouble and they had figured out that the car was no longer the hero of the ad, uh, it took a little bit of selling, but they did eventually agree, especially after we had gone through showing them snippets of old Amir Khan ads, the versatility of his acting, the sincerity with which he comes across, the innovativeness that he shows as a human brand, and so many other arguments that went into convincing them. Then, last but not the least, this script that we had written, that we were going to use the best of Amir Khan and bring it into this one commercial, finally convinced them to give us a chance, and the rest is history. I mean, from being a complete non-starter, the Toyota Innova not only took off, but remains now the market leader in its genre in the car category for the last 15 odd years.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a very nice insight. Thank you, Sandeep, for sharing it.
Thank you, Prateek.
Yeah, thank you. Our next question from Ms. Monica.
Hi, sir.
Hi.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation. It's really fascinating to see how much math actually goes into celebrities representing brands or vice versa. So I was wondering where or how does the authenticity factor really play out among the other factors that you just mentioned, like likability and fame and etc. For instance, in the 80s and 90s when actresses, represented Lux, there was no guarantee that these actresses really use the product, so the ad might have clicked because of how famous they were or how much they could relate with the product. But today, some weeks ago, when the soccer star Ronaldo moved a bottle of Coke away from his table, it actually costed Coca-Cola a few billions. That also talks about the authenticity somewhere, that he actually promotes water than the drink. So here, how does it really play out on the brand and the celebrity?
Okay, one is, I think we must first agree on what authentic means. Now, whether authentic means that the brand you endorse is the brand you actually use, 99.9% celebrities will fail. So, that is not the definition of authentic, which we take in research. Authentic is more the fact that, Dhoni is continuing to be seen as authentic. Authentic maine, wo down to earth hai. Authentic maine, he is still very earthy. He's still very, connected to his roots. There's something about him which is very, very common manish, if you understand what I say. That authentic
Right.
was also the lead attribute of Kapil Dev for all those many years. We laughed when he said in his peculiar, not so very good, heavily accented English, boost is the secret of my energy. Or when he said Palmolive da jawab nahi, people laughed. But fact of the matter is, they remembered his advertising. They remembered his advertising. You understand? That is the dimension called authentic. Now, to your answer on Ronaldo. Now, I've written quite extensively on that subject. In fact, I have coined a new word for Ronaldo. He's not an endorser. He's the antithesis of an endorser, called an undorser. So he's undoing the work of the endorser. But while there is all the story about him being authentic in the sense that he now supports water, fact of the matter is Ronaldo is the same guy who made millions of Coke. He was earlier endorsing Coke, and now he has turned, saint. So it is that old story of, uh, every saint has a, or every saint has a future. Every whatever is that one about is future and past about saints and sinners. But fact of the matter is, I mean, after having made a few millions of Coke in his past, he is now, running down Coke. Uh, I really don't know whether too many celebrities can afford to do it in the past. it's been a bit strange that neither Coke nor Heineken decided to sue him or sue FIFA or sue UEFA, or Pogba was also not, sued by Heineken. But if this happens too often, it is quite likely that sports sponsors are going to, sue all of these guys. I don't think this has anything to do with authenticity. It is more a question of, personal beliefs. And my only, answer to that is that even before the tournament started, Ronaldo knew that Coke was one of the sponsors. If he didn't like the idea, he should not have played the tournament. In any case, I think God has his ways. Portugal's already been knocked out of the tournament, so he doesn't have to continue to play with Coke as a sponsor. But that's besides the point.
Right, sir. Right. Thank you.
Any other question?
Other person using there. Any other question from the participants? So it seems there are no further questions, sir.
Chalo, I think we are done then. Sir.
Yes, sir. So that brings us to the end of this very informative program. And on behalf of Association, I would like to thank you, convey my sincere thanks to Sandeep, sir, for sharing your views with the participants. I would also like to thank Thomas Fergus, chairman of this council, for sparing his time and joining us for this session. Thank you very much to all the participants. We look forward to have you in our further programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinod. Thank you very much.